It's 1:15 a.m., February 7th, 1943, Pacific waters off the Solomon Islands. Commander Howard Gilmore stands on the bridge of USS Growler, 312 feet of steel submarine beneath his feet. A Japanese gunboat closes from the darkness. Range 400 yards, speed 17 knots, collision in 20 seconds. Gilmore sounds the alarm and shouts, "Left rudder." Too late. The ships strike amidships with the force of a freight train. The submarine heels 50 degrees sideways. 18 feet of bow bends like tin. Machine gun fire erupts from the enemy deck at point-blank range. 2 men die instantly. Gilmore takes multiple rounds to the chest and throat. He's clinging to the bridge frame, bleeding out, unable to move. The submarine is flooding. Japanese gunners reload. Any second now they'll finish him and sink the boat. Then Gilmore does something no commanding officer has ever done. Submarines hit on the surface sink in under 90 seconds. Growler has 18 feet of crushed bow, malfunctioning dive planes, water pouring through a dozen breaches. 83 men below depend on an immediate crash dive to survive. But the standard procedure is clear. Commanding officer descends last, always. 3 men remain topside, 2 wounded lookouts, 1 dying captain. Getting them below takes 45 seconds minimum. The sub doesn't have 45 seconds. The math of survival demands someone gets left behind. The Japanese gunners are 50 feet away, reloading. Enemy destroyers patrol within 2 miles. Surface visibility is 0 in the pre-dawn haze. If Growler doesn't dive in the next 10 seconds, everyone dies. All 86 men, the entire boat. The war patrol ends not in Brisbane, but at the bottom of the Pacific. But Gilmore is about to violate every instinct a captain has, because in the next 8 seconds, he will order his own death, condemn himself to drown 1,200 miles from home, and save 83 men by doing the one thing no submarine commander had ever done: stay topside while his boat dives beneath him. He'll ride the submarine down like an anchor. He'll give the order that becomes legend. He'll prove that some mathematics require subtraction. And he can do this because Howard Gilmore has spent 23 years preparing to make impossible calculations, the kind where the only right answer removes yourself from the equation. Howard Walter Gilmore, born September 29, 1902, Selma, Alabama. At age 18, he enlisted in the Navy as the son of a railroad man who taught him one thing: you don't abandon the train while passengers are aboard. 2 years later, in 1922, Gilmore scored high enough on competitive exams to enter the Naval Academy without connections, without money, just raw capability. He graduated 34th in a class of 436, not because he was brilliant, because he was relentless. As a child, Gilmore once watched a steamboat captain go down with a sinking riverboat after pushing the last passenger into a lifeboat. The image never left him. Some men are born with the capacity to subtract themselves from the survival equation. Gilmore was one of them. But to understand how a 40-year-old submarine commander makes peace with drowning, you need to know what made him different from the beginning. March 1933, Panama Canal Zone. The USS Shark is conducting shakedown cruise. Lieutenant Howard Gilmore, executive officer, gets shore leave with another sailor. They wander into the wrong part of Colon after dark. A gang of local thugs corners them in an alley. Money, watches, everything. The sailors comply. Then one thug produces a knife and slashes Gilmore's throat, ear to ear. Blood everywhere. His shipmate is cut too. The attackers vanish into the maze of back streets. Gilmore clamps his hand over the wound, feeling the hot pulse against his palm. He walks, doesn't run, walks, back to the pier. 2 miles. Leaves a trail of blood on cobblestones. He reaches the gangway, reports to the officer of the deck. Request permission to see the medical officer. I've been cut. voice steady. The wound misses his carotid by 3 millimeters, 16 stitches, 10 days recovery. When asked later why he didn't call for help or collapse, Gilmore says, "Panicking wouldn't close the wound. He earns a reputation. This is a man who calculates under pressure, who treats his own mortality like a technical problem with a solution." The Navy notices. December 7th, 1941. Lieutenant Commander Gilmore is in command of USS Shark, his first command. He's been captain for exactly 327 days. Then Pearl Harbor explodes. The next morning, December 8th, Gilmore receives new orders. He's being transferred immediately to a submarine still under construction at Electric Boat Company in Groton, Connecticut, USS Growler, a Gatto-class boat, newer, faster, deadlier. The Navy is pulling him from Shark because they need aggressive captains on aggressive boats. Gilmore doesn't celebrate, he doesn't complain. So he boards a train to Connecticut and starts learning Growler's blueprints before the welders finish the hull. By March 1942, Growler is commissioned with Gilmore in command. His executive officer is Lieutenant Arnold Shade, a 31-year-old Naval Academy graduate from San Diego. They're opposites. Shade methodical, Gilmore instinctive, but they trust each other completely. What Gilmore earns here is simple. When the war comes, you don't get your first command. You get a command the Navy trusts you with. Growler isn't a reward, it's a weapon, and Gilmore is the trigger. July 5th, 1942. Aleutian Islands, off Kiska. Growler's first war patrol. 5 days in, lookouts spot 3 Japanese destroyers anchored in Reynard Cove. Kasumi, Shiranui, Arare. Combined displacement, 6,000 tons. Destroyer crews, 240 men each. Growler, 1 submarine. Then 24 torpedoes, 60 men. Normal protocol says wait for better positioning, attack from distance, don't engage multiple destroyers simultaneously. Gilmore ignores protocol. He closes to 1,000 yards, so close the crew can hear Japanese voices across the water, and fires 4 torpedoes in 8 seconds. 2 hit Kasumi amidships. 2 hit Shiranui in the bow section. Then Gilmore surfaces and watches through the periscope as Arare, trying to maneuver, takes a delayed torpedo that detonates under its keel. Arare sinks in 90 seconds. Kasumi and Shiranui limp toward Japan, heavily damaged out of the war for months. 10 Japanese sailors dead, dozens wounded. Gilmore's response when commended, "They were anchored." That simplified the mathematics. Navy Cross. Citation credits him with successfully attacking 3 enemy ships while safely escaping enemy-controlled waters. What he earns, proof that aggression, properly calculated, isn't recklessness. It's efficiency. August 5th, 1942. Growler begins second war patrol. East China Sea near Formosa. The assigned patrol area is a shooting gallery. Japanese merchant convoys running supplies from Taiwan to occupied China. 25 days in the patrol zone. Gilmore sinks 4 merchant ships, totaling 15,000 tons of enemy cargo. What makes this remarkable isn't the tonnage, it's the ratio. Gilmore fires 18 torpedoes over 25 days and lands 14 hits, a 78% hit rate in an era when most submarines achieve 30%. The technique is simple. Get closer than anyone else dares. Range 800 yards, sometimes 600. So close that torpedo gyroscopes barely have time to stabilize before impact. So close that Growler surfaces after attacks and can see survivors in the water. Shade, the executive officer, later writes in his diary, "The old man doesn't believe in wasting torpedoes. He believes in wasting distance." Gold Star in lieu of Second Navy Cross. What Gilmore earns, a reputation not just as aggressive but as lethally precise. Aggression with accuracy. Every shot a calculation. Every calculation tilted toward maximum damage with minimum waste. January 1st, 1943. Growler departs Brisbane, Australia for Fourth War Patrol. Solomon Islands. The area is chaos. Japanese evacuating Guadalcanal. Convoys everywhere. Destroyers prowling. Aircraft overhead. Gilmore sinks a transport on January 16th. Another on January 19th. Then January 30th. He attacks a freighter but gets driven down by gunfire and depth charges. 18 depth charges. One ruptures a gasket in the forward ballast tank. Emergency repairs slow the leak but don't stop it. Growler is wounded. Rational captains would abort. Return to Brisbane, get repaired. Gilmore doesn't abort. He stays on patrol 7 more days, hunting. By February 6th, Growler has been at sea for 37 days. The crew is exhausted. The submarine is leaking. The area is swarming with enemy ships. Any sane commander withdraws. But Gilmore sees one more convoy, 2 freighters, 2 patrol craft. He decides to make one more attack. It's not greed. It's not glory. It's the same mathematics he's always used. There's a target, there's a weapon, therefore there's an equation to solve. By February 7th at 1 a.m., the Growler is closing on the convoy in darkness. What Gilmore has earned over 23 years is this: the right to make decisions other men wouldn't. But in 15 minutes that math changes, because the next equation doesn't solve for victory, it solves for sacrifice. February 7th, 1943, 1 a.m. Pacific, waters between Micronesia and Papua New Guinea. Growler is running on the surface, diesel engines charging the batteries. Visibility is terrible, hazy fog, no moon, ocean black as ink. Radar picks up a contact single ship, range 5,000 yards. Gilmore orders battle stations. The crew moves silently to torpedo tubes. Shad climbs to the conning tower. Gilmore ascends to the bridge with 3 others. Officer of the deck, Ensign William Wadsworth Williams, quartermaster, and 2 lookouts. Standard procedure. Wind cold, sea calm. The diesel engines rumbling below. Gilmore orders course adjustment, close the range. He wants 1,500 yards, his sweet spot, where torpedoes arm properly and the target can't evade. The contact is moving slowly, maybe 8 knots. Probably a cargo ship, alone, vulnerable. Growler increases speed to 15 knots. The submarine cuts through the water, bow wave hissing. Range drops to 3,000 yards, then 2,500. Torpedo tubes flooded and ready. Gyro set. The crew waits for the command to fire. Gilmore watches through binoculars. Something feels wrong. The target's silhouette is too small for a freighter, too narrow. Then the contact reverses course. Suddenly, instantly, it's not fleeing, it's charging. Speed 17 knots. Gilmore realizes the truth in the same second his lookouts shout, "Gunboat closing fast." The target isn't prey, it's predator. Nagasaki, a 920-ton ammunition ship, converted to submarine hunter, armed with a 3-inch gun, 2 25mm anti-aircraft guns, and a 13mm machine gun, specifically designed to ram and kill submarines on the surface. Gilmore sounds the collision alarm. The klaxon screams through the boat. He shouts into the voice tube, "Left full rudder," trying to turn Growler's bow away, present a smaller target, maybe slip past. But the range is 400 yards. Closing speed 25 knots combined. Turning radius for a Gato-class submarine is 600 yards minimum. The mathematics don't work. Growler is still completing the turn when Nagasaki strikes amidships at 17 knots. The impact is catastrophic. The collision heels Growler 50 degrees to starboard. Men below are thrown across compartments. Equipment tears loose, so the submarine's bow bends 18 feet sideways to port. 18 feet of solid steel crumpled like foil. Forward torpedo tubes disabled. Diving planes jammed. The sound is monstrous. Metal screaming, rivets popping, hull plates groaning. Water floods the forward ballast tank through the ruptured gasket. More water pours through the bent bow. Growler is dying. On the bridge, Gilmore and his men are thrown against the rail. Ensign Williams loses his footing. The quartermaster grabs the periscope housing. The two lookouts slam into the conning tower wall. Then the machine gun opens fire. Hayasaki's crew has one 13mm gun operational, and it's aimed directly at Growler's bridge, 50 feet away. Muzzle flashes light the darkness. The sound is a rapid hammering. Thunk, 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 thunk. Bullets punch through the air at 2,400 feet per second. Ensign Williams takes the first burst center mass. He drops instantly, dead before he hits the deck. Fireman Third Class Wilbert Fletcher Kelly, one of the lookouts, takes rounds to the head and chest. Dead. Blood pools on the bridge deck, black in the darkness. The other lookout is hit in the shoulder and leg. Screaming, the quartermaster takes shrapnel to the arm. Gilmore feels the impacts, 3 rounds, maybe 4, chest and throat. The sensation is less like pain and more like being punched by something impossibly fast. His vision blurs. He tastes copper. Blood fills his mouth. He grabs the bridge frame to stay upright. His legs aren't working correctly. The machine gun continues firing. More rounds spark off metal around him. Below, in the control room, Shade is picking himself off the floor. The collision threw him down the conning tower ladder. His shoulder is dislocated. His vision is swimming. He hears the machine gun, hears screaming, hears water flooding somewhere forward. The engineering officer shouts damage reports. Forward ballast tank ruptured, bow bent, diving planes non-responsive, electrical systems malfunctioning. Shade knows instantly. Growler has maybe 60 seconds before it's too damaged to submerge. Maybe 90 seconds before Japanese reinforcements arrive. The only option is an immediate crash dive, right now. But protocol demands the bridge crew descends first. Commanding officer, last. Always. On the bridge, Gilmore makes the calculation. He's hit multiple times, bleeding heavily. Can't walk, can't climb down the ladder. The 2 wounded lookouts might make it below if someone helps them. The quartermaster is mobile. Ensign Williams and Kelly are dead. Nothing to be done. Getting the 3 living men below will take 30 seconds minimum if someone assists. But Gilmore can't assist. He can barely stand. If he orders them to help him down first, everyone dies, boat and crew. If he orders them down without him, he dies, alone. 83 men live. The mathematics is simple, cruel, but simple. 1 life versus 83. Gilmore has spent 23 years preparing for equations. This one has only one solution. He looks at the hatch, then at his men, and shouts through the blood, "Clear the bridge." His voice is ragged but audible. The quartermaster hesitates. Gilmore is the captain. You don't leave the captain, but Gilmore shouts again, "Clear the bridge, now." The quartermaster grabs one wounded lookout. The other wounded man crawls to the hatch on his own. They drop through the opening, tumbling into the conning tower. Blood trails behind them. The machine gun keeps firing. Rounds punch holes in the bridge plating. One clips Gilmore's shoulder. Another tears through the conning tower fairing. Shade in the control room shouts up the voice tube, "Captain, bridge clear, awaiting your descent." Silence. Then Gilmore's voice, distant, weakening, but absolutely clear, "Take her down." Shade freezes. Those words mean Gilmore isn't coming. The captain is ordering his own death. Shade hesitates for 3 seconds, an eternity, thinking maybe Gilmore can still make it. Maybe there's time. But more machine gun fire rakes the superstructure. More water floods forward. Shade makes the decision. He orders the diving officer, "Emergency dive. Point. Close the hatch." A sailor slams the conning tower hatch shut. The hydraulic wheel spins. The hatch locks. Watertight. Sealed. Howard Gilmore is on the other side, alone. Growler's ballast tanks flood, compressed air vents to the atmosphere with a roar. The submarine's bow tilts down, the stern lifts, angle increases, 5 degrees, 10 degrees, 15 degrees. The dive is fast, brutal, uncontrolled. On the bridge, Gilmore feels the deck tilt beneath him. Water rises around his boots. He's still gripping the bridge frame, blood soaking his uniform, vision fading. The machine gun fires one last burst, but Growler is already submerging. Bullets spark off the conning tower as it sinks below the waterline. Gilmore holds on as long as he can. Water reaches his waist, then his chest, then his throat. He doesn't scream, doesn't fight. He takes one last breath, salt spray and diesel exhaust and his own blood, and the Pacific closes over his head. The submarine continues down, 50 feet, 100 feet, 150 feet. The pressure increases. The bridge is 30 feet underwater now. Gilmore's body releases the frame and drifts backward into the darkness. The ocean takes him. Inside Growler, the crew is fighting for survival. The forward compartment is flooded. The diving planes aren't responding. The boat is angled too steep, 20 degrees down by the bow. Shade orders ballast tanks blown to level off. Compressed air screams into the tanks. The angle decreases, 15 degrees, 10 degrees, 5 degrees, level. Growler stabilizes at 180 feet. Damage control teams scramble. The forward torpedo room is sealed off to contain flooding. Emergency repairs begin on the diving planes. The crew works in near silence. Everyone knows what just happened topside. Everyone knows the captain didn't come down. But there's no time for grief. Not yet. Right now, survival. Shade waits 30 minutes. Then he orders battle surface. Growler rises slowly, cautiously. At periscope depth, Shade scans for targets. Hayasaki is gone, limped away toward Rabaul. Too damaged to continue the fight. No sign of destroyers. No sign of Gilmore. Shade surfaces fully and sends a search party topside. They find 2 bodies, Williams and Kelly, wedged against the bridge rail. No sign of the captain. The ocean is empty. Black water. No survivors. Gilmore is gone. Growler limps through the next 10 days on diesel engines and emergency repairs. The crew jury-rigs the diving planes. They weld temporary plates over the bow damage. Point: the submarine can dive, barely, and navigate slowly. On February 17, 1943, Growler enters Brisbane Harbor with 18 feet of crumpled bow, bullet holes in the bridge, and 2 fewer men than it left with. Commodore James Fife, Jr., Chief of Staff for Asiatic Fleet Submarines, inspects the damage and writes in his report, "The performance of the officers and crew in effecting repairs and bringing the ship safely back to base is one of the outstanding submarine feats of the war to date." But the real story spreads faster than official reports. Within days, every submarine crew in the Pacific knows what Gilmore did. The 3 words, "Take her down." Submariners start repeating it like a prayer, a mantra, a reminder that some mathematics require subtraction. In New Orleans, Gilmore's wife Hilda receives the telegram on February 20th. She's still recovering from a fall down the stairs that left her in a coma for weeks. She's awake now, but fragile. The telegram is brief. "Regret to inform you, Commander Howard W. Gilmore is missing in action and presumed dead." Missing, not confirmed. No body, no burial, just gone. Hilda holds the telegram and thinks about the last thing Howard told her before deploying. "If something happens, don't let the kids forget I tried to get the math right." She doesn't understand what he meant. Not yet. On July 13, 1943, 5 months later, Rear Admiral Andrew Carl Bennett presides over a ceremony at the 8th Naval District Headquarters in New Orleans. Hilda Gilmore stands in a black dress with a mourning veil. her 2 children beside her. E. Bennett reads the Medal of Honor citation for distinguished gallantry and valor above and beyond the call of duty, refusing safety for himself. In his final living moments, gave his last order, "Take her down." Bennett hands Hilda the medal. She drapes it around the neck of her son, Howard Jr., age 10. Bennett also gives the boy a letter recommending his appointment to the Naval Academy when he's old enough. The ceremony ends. The story spreads wider. Newspapers call Gilmore the submarine captain who rowed his boat to the bottom. The legend becomes larger than the man. But the man was enough. June 10th, 1943, 4 months after Gilmore's death. Growler is back on patrol under new command, Arnold Shade, promoted from executive officer to captain. 5th War Patrol, South China Sea. Shade has repaired the submarine. New bow. A new diving planes. Same crew, same aggressive tactics. On June 10th, Growler encounters a Japanese convoy near Palawan. 4 cargo ships, 2 destroyers. Standard procedure says attack from distance, fire torpedoes, escape. Shade does something different. He surfaces at night and charges the convoy at 18 knots, ramming speed, and closes to 800 yards before firing. 4 torpedoes, 3 hits, 2 cargo ships sink. The destroyers counterattack with depth charges, 86 depth charges over 4 hours. Growler dives to 400 feet, 50 feet beyond safe depth, and escapes. Shade surfaces the next morning and continues the patrol. He sinks another merchant ship on June 19th, another on July 2nd. By the end of the patrol, Growler has sunk 5 ships, totaling 22,000 tons under Shade's command. Navy Cross for Shade. The citation notes aggressive leadership in the tradition of his predecessor. What this proves, Gilmore's final order wasn't desperation. It was character. Shade learned it. The crew internalized it. Some decisions don't fit on paper. They fit in the moment between living and solving the problem. Gilmore solved the problem. Shade inherited the mindset. The math continued. Growler continues fighting under multiple commanders. 11 war patrols total. 15 enemy ships sunk. 74,900 tons. On November 8, 1944, 21 months after Gilmore's death, Growler vanishes during its 11th patrol near Mindoro, Philippines. Presumed sunk by the Japanese destroyer Shigure. 86 men lost. Entire crew. The submarine joins the Eternal Patrol. No bodies recovered, no wreckage found. The ocean keeps its dead. Shade, they who left Growler after the 5th patrol, goes on to command other submarines. He survives the war, eventually becomes Vice Admiral Arnold Frederick Shade, commander of the Atlantic Submarine Force, retires in 1968, dies in 2003 at age 91 in Sarasota, Florida. In every interview, every speech, every command, Shade mentions Gilmore. The best captain I ever served under, he says, because he understood the equation and didn't hesitate when the answer required himself. In September 1943, the Navy commissions a submarine tender, USS Howard W. Gilmore, AS-16. It serves through World War II and Korea. Decommissioned 1970. The name lives longer than the man. Gilmore Hall at Naval Submarine Base. New London is named for him. Building 84. Submariners walk past it every day, most not knowing the story. Some do. The ones who do walk a little differently. They know what the name means. Howard Walter Gilmore. Died February 7, 1943. Age 40. Cause of death: gunshot wounds and drowning. Location: Pacific Ocean. Coordinates: approximately 06 degrees 30 minutes south, 154 degrees 30 minutes east, off Gazelle Channel near Rabaul. Body never recovered. No burial at sea. No casket. no grave. He simply ceased to exist above the surface. His name is listed on the walls of the missing at Manila American Cemetery and Memorial in the Philippines. Plot: Court of the Missing, tablet reference unknown. Thousands of names. Gilmore's among them. Stone doesn't capture the weight. Doesn't explain that he chose this. Doesn't mention the 3 words that every submariner knows. Some stories don't fit on headstones. Some barely fit on walls. There are 2 ways to tell this story. The first is legend. Heroic captain sacrifices himself to save his crew in a moment of impossible courage. The second is record. Submarine commander makes tactical calculation under fire and executes the only mathematically sound solution to a survival problem. Both are true. Both are remarkable. But here's what matters. Gilmore didn't hesitate. That's the part that defines everything. 3 seconds between the machine gun fire and the order. 3 seconds to calculate odds, weigh options, solve for survival. Most men would spend those 3 seconds hoping for a different equation. Gilmore spent them speaking the solution. Take her down. The decision pattern reveals something essential about human nature. Rational choice says prioritize self-preservation, wait, hope, buy time. Someone else will figure it out. The Gilmore's choice says prioritize the mission. The mission is 83 men living, therefore subtract yourself. The gap between those choices is the difference between training and character. You can train men to fight. You can train them to dive submarines. You can't train them to give the order that kills them. That comes from somewhere else, somewhere formed in childhood on a riverbank in Alabama, watching a steamboat captain push the last passenger to safety. Somewhere forged in Panama with a cut throat and a 2-mile walk. Somewhere calcified over 23 years of service that taught one lesson. The equation matters more than the mathematician. Consider another situation. January 1943. Gilmore could have aborted the 4th patrol after the depth charge damage, could have returned to Brisbane, could have requested medical leave. His second wife was in a coma, his first wife dead from disease years before. Could have said, I've done enough, someone else's turn. He didn't, because enough isn't a number submariners recognize. There's only mission complete or mission incomplete. Growler had torpedoes, enemy had ships. The mathematics continued. The story isn't about sacrifice. It's simpler than that. The story is about solving for the right variable. Most problems solve for I survive. Some problems solve for they survive. Gilmore knew which variable mattered the moment the machine gun fired. He didn't agonize, didn't bargain, didn't hesitate. He gave the order. 3 words. Final order. The variable that mattered was 83 men reaching Brisbane. The variable that didn't was him. Now, some men spend their whole lives avoiding that equation. Gilmore spent his whole life preparing for it. Final thought from a conversation Gilmore had with Shade during the 3rd patrol, recorded in Shade's diary. The old man asked me what I'd do if he were killed. I said I'd bring the boat home. He said, wrong answer. You bring the mission home. The boat's just a tool. I'm just a tool. Mission's the only thing that stays. That philosophy lived in every decision Gilmore made. It died with him in the Pacific. Or maybe it didn't die. Maybe it transferred to Shade, to the crew, to every submariner who hears the story and understands what take her down really means. Not an order, a principle. Solve the equation. Even when the solution is you. Some things you never stop being. Howard Gilmore never stopped being a man who understood mathematics, the kind where sometimes the only way to balance the equation is to remove yourself from it. He did. The submarine dived. 83 men lived. The math worked.